It's a crime that is notoriously difficult to prosecute. Last year, just 1.7% of reported rapes led to a criminal charge, the lowest number in a decade. Rape is an underreported crime. It's estimated that only about 15% of people who experience sexual violence actually end up going to the police. So we wanted to investigate how the system is treating people who do decide to report and whether they're getting the support that they need.
So at the end of last year, I was raped in my bedroom by somebody that I knew, that I had previously met before, somebody that I trusted.
And then you made the decision to go to the police?
Yes, I reported it basically hours after it happened, and since reporting it, I have just felt a massive lack of support. That day was like the hardest day because I spent 10 hours in a room with male police officers, couldn't see my family, couldn't see any friends, no one was allowed to even know where I was. And since then, I just don't feel that I've been given any support or any help.
Which is slightly unbelievable, really, when, I mean, even reporting it must have been a very difficult decision for you to make.
Yeah, I thought I was doing the right thing, and I thought because I had reported it hours after, I thought that that's putting me in the best position. That's what you're told, to report as soon as possible.
I'm keen to kind of talk about a couple of the issues that you've experienced. Firstly, you had to hand your phone over.
Yeah, so I didn't hand it over straight away because they took the perpetrator's phone, and I assumed that would be enough. I wasn't really sure why they had to take mine. But then a few months later, they did ask for mine, and yeah, they've had it this entire year. To be honest, I didn't mind giving it up because I would do anything for my case, basically. It's more that they've had it for so long, and I should have been given monthly updates, and I wasn't. I had to chase the police a lot to find out what's happening. It's more that they haven't dealt with it. Like, they've now decided not to even use it, so I'm confused why they even took it in the first place.
Another issue that you've experienced is around counselling. Just to explain, because I think most of our viewers would be quite alarmed, I guess, to know what the situation is with accessing counselling before a trial.
Yeah, so you can have pre-trial therapy, is what it's called, and it's literally described as a limited counselling. That's in the definition of it.
You can't talk about the one reason that you need the counselling.
So you're not allowed to talk about anything that is in your police notes, which is obviously what happened to you.
And that's because it can all be used as evidence.
The defence can request your notes, then some parts of what you said can be used against you, or the therapist can be seen to be guiding you over what happened, or what to say if it does go to court.
How important do you think counselling is? How much would it have benefited you to be able to just talk freely?
I think it massively would have helped me. I think so many people credit counselling and therapy as being life-changing, as it being this amazing thing where it can really, really help you and really be beneficial to you. And it's really frustrating for me that I felt like I desperately needed it and I haven't been able to have that.
And then the third issue that has been a really big issue for you has been housing, hasn't it?
So, because it happened in my bedroom, again, this is because I reported it, you're then not allowed back there because it becomes a crime scene. So until the police go to your room or your flat or wherever it happened and take everything they need, you are not allowed back there. And then obviously when you are allowed back there, it then becomes a very difficult place to be and to live. So I went to the council for help, and I was told that if you are fleeing sexual violence or domestic abuse, they do not have to help you. So I was told that from their point of view, they could argue you have intentionally made yourself homeless. It was so upsetting, because I think a lot of the time we think that survivors aren't believed, and I don't think that that's the issue. The issue isn't that you're not believed, it's that you're not heard, it's that you're reaching out for help, and it's the same with mental health as well. People reach out for help and they're trying to get help, and the fact is the help isn't there and it's not being given.
So where have you been living?
So I was put in a hostel after a while of waiting. I was put in a hostel, and it was a hostel with 90% men.
Did you feel safe?
No, I didn't. The floor on the hostel that was women only constantly had male residents on, and I constantly had to write written complaints to get myself out of there and to get myself moved somewhere appropriate. I had to fight to be taken seriously that place wasn't suitable for me.
What's your message to, politicians who might be listening to this interview now? What needs to happen?
I think that we need to actually listen to what survivors are saying that they want, and that they shouldn't be deciding what's best for us. Open up the conversation. If we're saying that we want counselling, then I feel we should be able to have that, and that there shouldn't be an argument against that, especially from, people who haven't been through it and haven't experienced it.
Sarah Green, the co-director of the End Violence Against Women Coalition, says that this is not an isolated case.
So women's organisations around the country are seeing increasingly worrying justice outcomes. So we're seeing a big fall in the numbers of cases that actually get charged. There might be a bit of an investigation and then no charge. We are sure that the bar has been raised on charging cases. So a huge surge, like an almost tripling in the numbers of people reporting rape to the police, and that is recent rapes as well as rapes that may have happened a long time ago. And then at the same time, we've got this fall off in the numbers of cases that actually get charged. There's a very low chance now, frankly, that if you report a rape, you make the initial police call or visit, you will ever end up in court. It's something like 1 in 25 of those reports are ending up in court. Only a few years ago, that was 1 in 5. And, you know, we need to be looking at this. This is urgent.
The government is holding a review into how rape and serious sexual offences are handled by the justice system, and pressure is mounting from politicians such as Labour's Shami Chakrabarti for them to act.
Rape cases are particularly difficult and therefore particularly sensitive to a lack of resources and indeed to demoralised professionals. I have no doubt that people are being put off coming forward. This is just a national embarrassment. It seems that there is some guidance that is still in place, but dating back to the early 2000s, that is discouraging people from getting therapy pre-trial on the sort of spurious basis that somehow this will compromise their credibility as witnesses, that it will be fair game to argue that they're not telling the truth, they've somehow been coached or given a false memory by a therapist. And this is thereby discouraging people from getting vital therapy that they need. And at a time when the country is getting to grips just a little more with mental health problems.
After a series of rape trials collapsed last year, it's perhaps understandable that there's been a renewed focus on making sure that cases have a realistic chance of prosecution. But speaking to survivors, it's hard not to conclude that victims are being failed by the system, and the support that they need just isn't there. In a parliament consumed by Brexit and the theatre of a leadership contest, there is a risk that other issues are being put on ice. Now, in response to our report, the Crown Prosecution Service sent us a statement. There has been no change of policy in how the CPS makes charging decisions in rape cases. These offences can have a devastating impact. We will always seek to prosecute where there is sufficient evidence to do so. There are strict rules which mean that digital data should only be accessed when it forms a reasonable line of inquiry, and private information not connected to the case must not be shared with the defence or shown in court. Furthermore, witnesses and complainants should not be discouraged or prevented from seeking therapy and counselling before or during the trial process.